The night sky above the Global Space Observatory was clear. Stars shone like tiny diamonds on black velvet. Dr. Jun Kim sat alone in the monitoring room, his eyes fixed on the computer screen. Numbers and waves moved across it, showing signals from deep space. Jun took a sip of cold coffee and rubbed his tired eyes. It was past midnight, but he couldn't leave. Something strange had appeared in the data 3 nights ago, a pattern that shouldn't be there. The door opened, and Dr. Hannah Park walked in with 2 fresh cups of coffee. "You're still here?" she asked, placing 1 cup beside him. "I thought you'd be home by now." "Look at this," Jun said, pointing at his screen. "It's happening again." Hannah leaned closer. The signal appeared as regular pulses, too even to be natural. "That's impossible." "I've checked everything," Jun said. "It's not our equipment. It's not Earth satellites. It's coming from somewhere beyond Neptune." Hannah pulled up a chair. "Show me the pattern again." Jun played back the recording. The pulses came in groups of 7, then 13, then 7 again. "Prime numbers," Hannah whispered. "Whoever sent this wants us to know it's artificial." Jun nodded. "There's more. The spaces between pulses, they're mathematical constants. Pi, the square root of 2, the golden ratio." "This is a message," Hannah said, her voice trembling with excitement. "The first real proof of intelligent life beyond Earth." For 3 hours, they worked together, analyzing every aspect of the signal. As dawn approached, Hannah made a breakthrough. "Jun, these longer pulses, they're coordinates." Jun rushed to her screen. "Coordinates? To what?" "Earth coordinates," Hannah said, typing rapidly. "They point to Antarctica." Jun stared at the map on screen. The coordinates marked a spot deep in the ice shelf, far from any research station. "We need to tell Director Kang," Jun said. Later that morning, they sat in Director Kang's office, explaining their discovery. The older man listened carefully, his face serious. "You understand what you're suggesting," Director Kang said finally. "That some alien civilization sent us directions to Antarctica." "The signal is artificial," Jun insisted, "and the mathematics is universal. Anyone advanced enough for interstellar communication would use it. And the signal isn't new," Hannah added. "Based on its origin, it was sent thousands, maybe millions of years ago." Director Kang sighed. "I'll make some calls, but the scientific community will need more proof." 2 days later, Jun and Hannah presented their findings to a room full of skeptical scientists and government officials. "This signal pattern repeats every 42.8 hours, Jun explained. "It contains over 50 known mathematical constants and what we believe are navigation instructions. To a spot in Antarctica where nothing exists," said one scientist. "Nothing we know about," Hannah corrected. "The ice there is over 3 kilometers thick. Something could be buried underneath." The debate lasted for hours. Most scientists thought the signal was just space noise or a natural phenomenon they didn't yet understand. But a few key researchers supported Jun and Hannah's interpretation. Finally, the head of the International Science Committee spoke up. "We can't ignore this possibility, however small. I propose a preliminary expedition to these coordinates." 1 month later, Jun watched through the airplane window as Antarctica's white landscape spread out below. Beside him, Hannah checked their equipment one last time. Behind them sat Dr. Su Li, an expert in languages, and Captain Ta Sung, who would handle security and drilling operations. As the plane descended toward the temporary base camp, Jun felt a mixture of excitement and fear. If they were right, humanity was about to make contact with something left by an ancient civilization. If they were wrong, it would be the end of their careers. "We're about to find out if we're alone in the universe," Hannah said quietly. Jun nodded. "Or if we've been watched all along." The plane landed on the ice with a bump, and humanity's greatest discovery waited below. The Antarctic wind howled around the team as they set up their base camp. 6 large white tents stood in a circle, connected by covered walkways. In the center was the drilling equipment. June checked the coordinates again on his tablet. We're exactly where the signal pointed us. Captain Todd walked over, his thick coat making him look twice his normal size. The ground scanning equipment is ready. We'll know what's down there in a few hours. Hannah joined them, her cheeks red from the cold. If anything is down there at all. The ground scanning team worked through the night. By morning, they had their answer. Sue burst into the main tent where June was having breakfast. "You need to see this," she said, unrolling a large printout on the table. The image showed something buried deep in the ice. It was perfectly round, about 20 meters wide, and clearly not natural. "That's 3 kilometers down," Ta said, studying the image. "Deeper than anyone has ever drilled in Antarctica." "Then we'll be the first," Jun replied. The drilling took 2 weeks. They used new hot water drilling technology, melting through the ice rather than cutting it. As they got closer to the object, the drill sensors picked up a strange energy reading. "It's warm," Hannah said, looking at the data. "Whatever is down there is generating heat." On the 16th day, the drill broke through into an open space. Cameras sent down showed a large round chamber in the ice, with the object sitting in the center. It was a perfect metal sphere, smooth and silver, with no visible seams or openings. "We need to go down there," Jun said. A heated elevator was built in the drill shaft. Jun, Hannah, Tai, and Sue would make the first descent. They wore special thermal suits that would protect them from the extreme cold. As the elevator lowered them into darkness, Jun felt his heart pounding. What would they find? Who had left this here, and when? The chamber was bigger than it had looked on camera. Their lights reflected off the ice walls, creating rainbow patterns. The metal sphere sat on a raised platform in the center. "The ice around it has melted and refrozen many times," Hannah observed. "This thing has been generating heat for a very long time." Sue walked slowly around the sphere, studying its surface. No markings, no seams. "How do we open it?" June approached carefully. "Maybe we don't need to open it. Maybe it will open for us." As if responding to his words, the sphere began to glow. A soft blue light spread across its surface. The team stepped back in alarm. "Everyone stay calm," Ta said, his hand moving to the gun at his side. The sphere rose a few centimeters off its platform and began to rotate slowly. Then suddenly, it projected a beam of light that formed into a 3-dimensional image in the air. It showed star systems, galaxies, and what looked like a map of the universe. Points of light connected by lines, forming a complex network. "It's a star map," Hannah whispered. The image changed, showing Earth and its solar system. Then it zoomed in on Earth itself, highlighting several locations across the planet's surface. "More coordinates," Jun said. The sphere projected another image, strange symbols floating in the air. They moved and changed, forming patterns that seemed almost like writing. Sue stepped forward, her eyes wide with wonder. "This is a language, based on universal constants and mathematical principles." As they watched, the symbols began to arrange themselves into new patterns. Somehow, the sphere was learning, adapting its communication. "It's trying to talk to us," Hannah said. After hours of observation, Sue made a breakthrough. "I think I understand some of this. These symbols keep repeating. They might mean greeting or hello." More symbols appeared, and Sue worked frantically to interpret them. "It says, 'To the awakening species of Earth,'" she translated slowly. "You are not the first, nor will you be the last." The sphere pulsed brighter, projecting more complex images. They showed humanoid figures, but clearly not human. Tall, elegant beings with 4 arms, working with technologies beyond human understanding. Who were they? Joan wondered aloud. As if answering, new symbols appeared. Sue read them carefully. "We were the confluence," she translated. "The last unified civilization. This message is our final act." The team stood in silence, watching as the ancient message continued to unfold before them. For 3 days, the team worked non-stop in the ice chamber. The sphere continued to project symbols, and Sue worked tirelessly to understand them. Computers recorded everything, helping her find patterns and meanings. "I'm starting to get more of the message," Sue said, her voice hoarse from lack of sleep. The others gathered around her. "The confluence was a union of many different species," she explained. "They lived throughout the galaxy millions of years ago. They were not the first advanced civilization in our galaxy. Before them were beings they call the architects." June frowned. "So there have been at least 2 galaxy-wide civilizations before us." "Many more than that," Sue said, pointing to a timeline the sphere had projected. "The architects came first, at least 1 billion years ago. Then many others rose and fell. The confluence was just the most recent." "What happened to them?" Ty asked. Sue turned back to the symbols. "They faced some kind of disaster, something they couldn't stop. But before they disappeared, they left these messages on developing worlds like Earth." The sphere changed its projection, showing Earth as it looked millions of years ago. Dinosaurs roamed the land. Then it showed a different image, strange ships descending from space. "They visited Earth?" Hannah asked in disbelief. "Not to stay," Sue translated. "They left monitoring stations and these message spheres. They were preparing for something." The next set of symbols took longer to translate. When Sue finally understood, her face grew pale. "The confluence is warning us," she said quietly. "They say Earth is entering what they call an awakening phase. When a species reaches a certain technological level, it triggers ancient defense systems throughout the solar system." "Defense systems?" Ty asked sharply. "Against what?" "Against us," Sue replied. "The first civilization, the architects, were apparently very careful. They left behind automated systems to test new intelligent species. If a species fails the test, the systems eliminate them." Silence fell over the group as they absorbed this information. "These defense systems," Jum said finally. "Where are they?" The sphere projected a new image, a map of the solar system. Red dots appeared on Mars, Venus, Jupiter's moons, and several locations on Earth itself. "They're everywhere," Hannah whispered. "Hidden, dormant, waiting." Sue continued translating. "The confluence discovered these systems too late to disable them. Many of their colony worlds were destroyed when they triggered the defenses. But they learned how the systems work, and they left these messages to help other species survive the tests." "What kind of tests?" June asked. The answer came in a series of complex images. Machines rising from beneath oceans, structures emerging from the surfaces of other planets, energy shields forming around Earth. "The tests are about how we respond to advanced technology." Sue translated. "If we try to use it for weapons or to harm others, we fail. If we use it peacefully, we pass." "And if we fail?" Ty asked. The sphere projected an image of Earth. Then the planet shattered into pieces. No one spoke for several minutes. "When will these systems activate?" Hannah finally asked. Sue studied the new symbols carefully. "The message says the systems monitor certain technological achievements: nuclear energy, space travel, artificial intelligence. We've already triggered the first monitoring phase. The full awakening will begin soon." "How soon?" Jun pressed. "Months, not years," Sue replied. Ty paced around the chamber. "We need to tell the world governments immediately." "And tell them what?" Hannah asked. "That ancient alien machines are about to judge whether humanity deserves to exist." "We tell them exactly that," Jun said firmly. "And we show them the rest of the message. The confluence didn't just warn us. They left us help." The sphere projected new images, other spheres hidden around the world. Each contained knowledge and technology that could help humanity pass the tests. "There are 5 more spheres on Earth," Sue translated, "and 2 on Mars. Together, they contain the knowledge we need." "Then we need to find them," Jun said. before it's too late. As if responding to his words, the sphere rose higher and projected a countdown. Symbols that even they could understand. The awakening begins in 30 days, Sue said quietly. The team looked at each other, the weight of humanity's future suddenly on their shoulders. News of the Antarctic discovery spread across the world like wildfire. At first, many people didn't believe it, but when videos of the sphere and its projections went online, even the doubters began to worry. World leaders called emergency meetings. Military forces went on high alert. People stocked up on food and water, fearing the worst. At the United Nations building in New York, Jung and his team presented everything they had learned. Representatives from every nation listened in stunned silence. "We have 30 days, Jung said, pointing to the countdown displayed on a large screen. 30 days to find the other spheres and learn how to pass the tests." "How do we know this isn't a trick?" asked one leader. "Maybe this sphere was planted by enemies to create panic. The technology is millions of years beyond ours," Hannah explained. "No human could have created it." After hours of debate, most nations agreed to work together. They formed special teams to search for the other spheres using the coordinates from the Antarctic sphere. But not everyone wanted to cooperate. In a private room after the meeting, a military general approached Captain Ta. "You're a military man," the general said quietly. "You understand what this means. If these spheres contained advanced technology, we need to secure it for our national defense." Ta's face remained calm, but inside he felt angry. "This is exactly the kind of thinking that will make us fail the test," he said. "The sphere was clear. Weapons will trigger our destruction." The general smiled coldly. "Only if the other side gets the weapons first." Tay reported this conversation to June and the others. "It's starting already," Hannah said sadly. "People fighting over technology they don't even have yet." "We need help," Jung decided. "Someone who understands both the science and the politics." That help came in the form of Dr. Min Choi, a quantum physicist who arrived at their hotel the next morning. She was small and looked young, but her eyes showed wisdom beyond her years. "I've been tracking energy signatures like your sphere for 20 years, Min told them. "No one believed me until now." "You knew about the spheres?" Sue asked in surprise. Min nodded. "Not exactly what they were, but I knew something artificial was buried in these locations." She showed them a tablet with a map. The points matched exactly with the coordinates from the Antarctic sphere. "How did you know?" June asked. "Sometimes they pulse," Min explained. "Every few years, they send out a quantum signal. Very weak, but detectable if you know what to look for." "Why didn't you tell anyone?" Ta demanded. Min's expression grew serious. "I did. I was called crazy. Lost my university position. Had to continue my research in secret." The team decided to trust Min. Together, they planned how to find the remaining spheres. "The next one is in the Amazon rainforest," Jun said, looking at the map. "Deep in territory controlled by logging companies. The one after that is under the South China Sea," Hannah added. "In waters claimed by 3 different countries. And the others are in the Sahara Desert, the Mariana Trench, and beneath Mount Fuji," Min finished. "None will be easy to reach." They split into teams. June and Min would go to the Amazon. Hannah and Sue would tackle the South China Sea. Tai would coordinate with friendly military forces to prepare for the other locations. As they packed their equipment, alarming news came in. Satellite images showed unusual heat signatures on Mars, exactly where the sphere had indicated defense systems were located. Something was waking up. "We're running out of time," Jun said, checking the countdown. 27 days remained. That night, as they prepared to leave, Hannah found Jun standing alone on the hotel balcony. "Are you scared?" she asked. "Terrified," he admitted. "What if we fail? What if humanity isn't ready for this test?" Hannah stood beside him, looking at the city lights below. "Then we make them ready." That's why the confluence left the message. They believed we could succeed. June nodded slowly. Tomorrow we head into the Amazon. Let's hope the second sphere has better news than the first. Little did they know that 3 different military groups were already tracking their movements, each determined to get to the sphere first. The Amazon rainforest was hot and humid. June and Min followed their guide along a narrow path. Insects buzzed around them. Colorful birds called from the trees. The coordinates point to a spot 2 kilometers ahead, Min said, checking her device. But there's something strange. The energy readings are much stronger than the Antarctic sphere. Their guide suddenly stopped. He pointed to fresh tire tracks in the mud. Someone else is here, June said quietly. We need to hurry. They moved faster, fighting through thick plants and crossing small streams. After an hour, they heard voices ahead. Min signaled for them to get down. Through the trees, they saw a clearing. Men in military uniforms were setting up equipment around a large hole in the ground. Heavy machinery had pushed down trees to make space for a camp. They're digging for the sphere, Min whispered. We're too late, Jun said. Suddenly, the ground shook. The soldiers shouted in alarm. From the hole, a bright light shot into the sky. The sphere is activating, Min said. The earth rumbled and cracked. Trees fell. The soldiers ran as a large silver object rose from the ground. It wasn't a sphere like in Antarctica. This was a tall pillar, glowing with blue light. While the soldiers panicked, Jun and Min slipped closer. The pillar was covered in the same symbols they had seen before. It's different, Jun said. This isn't just a message, it's something else. The pillar opened like a flower. Inside was a control panel with strange shapes instead of buttons. Should we touch it? Min asked. Before Jun could answer, his phone rang. It was Hana, calling from the South China Sea. Jun, you won't believe this, she said, her voice excited. We found our sphere. It opened to show a star map. But it's not just a map. It's a transportation system. The spheres are connected somehow. Our site has a pillar, not a sphere, Jun told her. It just emerged from the ground. It has some kind of control panel. Ours has symbols that match coordinates on Mars, Hannah said. Sue thinks these aren't just messages. They're tools left to help us access Martian technology before the defense systems fully activate. Jun looked at the control panel. I think ours might be the key to using that technology. Suddenly, soldiers surrounded them. Guns pointed at their heads. Step away from the alien device, ordered a commander. Min stood her ground. You don't understand what's happening. If you try to use this for weapons, you'll doom us all. The commander laughed. Our scientists will decide how to use it. At that moment, the pillar projected a wide beam of light. It scanned each person present. When it reached Min, it paused. Symbols appeared in the air around her. Jun gasped. Min, it's communicating with you specifically. Min stared at the symbols, her eyes wide. I can read them. How can I read them? The commander grabbed her arm. What does it say? It says, I have been chosen, Min whispered. My genetic code matches their records. Records of what? Jun asked. Min looked stunned. Of the people they modified thousands of years ago. People whose descendants would be able to use their technology. The pillar projected new images, humans evolving over time. Then it showed ancient visitors taking human DNA, changing it, putting it back. They engineered certain humans, Min said, her voice shaking. Created bloodlines that could access their technology. And you're one of them, Jun realized. Min stepped toward the control panel. The soldiers raised their guns, but the commander held up his hand, curious what would happen. When Min touched the panel, it lit up. A map appeared, not of Earth, but of Mars. It showed a structure beneath the Martian surface. It's a repository, Min said, somehow understanding. A library of their knowledge and technology, and a sample storage facility. Samples of what? The commander demanded. The answer appeared in the air. DNA sequences of thousands of species. Many were unknown to Earth science. Life, Min said simply. The history of life in our solar system, including early human ancestors that don't match our fossil record. Jum's phone rang again. It was Tai, calling from Mission Control. The defense satellites around Mars are powering up, he said urgently. We have 18 days left. Please tell me you found something useful. June looked at Min, who stood transfixed by the alien technology that recognized her as its rightful user. We found more than we expected, he said. We need to get to Mars. 5 days later, the world changed forever. It began with strange lights in the sky over Jupiter. Earth's telescopes showed massive structures emerging from the gas giants' moons. Metal towers rose from the surfaces of Io and Europa, glowing with blue energy. On Earth, emergency meetings filled the United Nations building. Jun, Hana, Tai, Su, and Min presented their findings to world leaders. The defense systems are waking up faster than we expected, Jun explained, pointing to satellite images. We now have only 13 days before full activation. What happens then? Asked the Secretary General. The systems will judge us, Min answered. If we fail their test, Earth will be. She couldn't finish the sentence. Hana stepped forward. We've combined information from all 3 spheres we found. The South China Sea sphere contained transportation technology. The Amazon pillar had control systems. Both point to Mars as our next step. Mars. Several leaders looked confused. The Antarctic sphere warned us about the tests, Su explained. The other artifacts are tools to help us pass them. They all point to a central facility on Mars that contains technology we'll need. We need to send a mission to Mars immediately, Ta said, using the transportation technology from the South China Sea sphere. Some nations agreed to help. Others refused, not trusting the alien technology. As the debate continued, breaking news appeared on screens around the room. Strange structures were rising from Venus's surface. Dormant machines had activated on Mercury. The moon's surface showed new lights on its dark side. Then the worst news came. Seismic activity was detected in Earth's oceans. Giant metal structures were emerging from the deepest parts of all major oceans. It's happening here too, Jum said, his voice filled with dread. The Earth-based defense systems are activating. Panic spread across the world as ocean levels change. Coastal cities reported strange machines rising from the water. Metal towers broke through the ocean floor, causing earthquakes. In this chaos, Min made a surprising announcement. I need to tell you all something, she said to the team as they left the UN building. I haven't been completely honest. She led them to a small park nearby. I'm not just a scientist who tracked the energy signals, she explained. I'm part of a group that has protected knowledge of these events for centuries. What? Ta looked angry. You knew this would happen. Not exactly, Min said. My family has passed down stories for generations. Stories about star visitors who changed certain humans, who left messages in the earth, who warned about a great test. Why didn't you tell us? Hana asked. Would you have believed me? Min replied. Until we found the Antarctic sphere, even I thought they might just be myths. Min showed them an ancient book from her bag. Inside were drawings of spheres, pillars, and star maps, crude but recognizable versions of what they had found. My ancestors were among those modified by the visitors, she explained. We were changed to recognize their technology, to help humanity when the awakening came. You're saying these artifacts aren't just warnings, Jun realized. They're tools left by the confluence to help us pass the tests. Min nodded. The transportation technology from the South China Sea. The control systems from the Amazon. They're meant to work together. To help us reach Mars before the defense systems complete their activation. News alerts buzzed on their phones. The ocean-based defense systems were causing massive waves. Cities were being evacuated. We need to get to Mars now, Su said. Not all of us, Min replied. The control system recognized me because of my modified DNA. Someone like me needs to stay here to communicate with the Earth-based systems, try to slow them down. And someone needs to build the Mars transport, Hana added. I'll go to Mars, Jun volunteered. If the main facility is there, we need to access it quickly. Ta nodded. I'll go with you. We don't know what we'll find. As they made their plans, more emergency alerts came through. Defense platforms had appeared in Earth's orbit. They were scanning all human technology, especially weapon systems. The test has already begun, Min said quietly. The architect systems are judging how we use technology, whether we choose peace or war. Across the world, nations were making that choice. Some launched missiles at the alien structures. Others tried peaceful contact. Time was running out. The South China Sea transportation device hummed with energy. It looked like a large metal ring floating above the water. Jun and Tai stood before it, dressed in special suits designed by Earth's top scientists based on instructions from the alien artifacts. Are you sure this will work? Tai asked, checking his oxygen tank one last time. Hana says it will, Jun replied. The coordinates are set for the Martian facility. Around them, military ships from 5 nations formed a protective circle. Some countries still wanted to fight the alien technology. Others wanted to steal it. These ships were from countries that chose to help. Jun's phone rang. It was Min, calling from New York. The Earth defense systems are fully active, she said. I've managed to communicate with some of them using the Amazon Pillar's control codes. They're scanning all human technology and behavior. What are they looking for exactly? Jun asked. They want to see if we use technology to help or harm each other, Min explained. The defense systems operate on a simple principle. Any species that uses advanced technology as weapons will be eliminated. That's why some of the defense satellites destroyed missiles that were fired at them, Tay realized. Yes, Min confirmed. Nations that attack the defense systems automatically fail the test. Hana joined the call. The transport ring is ready, but you should know what's happening here. 3 countries have declared war on each other, blaming each other for the crisis. They're mobilizing nuclear weapons. Jun's heart sank. If they launch those missiles, we all fail the test, Ta finished grimly. You need to get to Mars now, Min insisted. The facility there might contain a way to communicate directly with the architect's judgment system. Sue's voice came through next. I've translated more of the Antarctic sphere's message. The confluence left a backdoor into the defense systems, a way to prove our worthiness even if some humans make the wrong choices. How long do we have? Tai asked. 8 days, Hana answered. Maybe less if more weapons are used. Jun looked at the transport ring. We're going now. Keep trying to stop those wars. Good luck, Min said. The future of humanity depends on what you find on Mars. Jun and Tai stepped into the transport ring. Blue lights surrounded them. They felt a strange pulling sensation. Then darkness. When they opened their eyes, they stood on the red surface of Mars. Above them, the thin Martian sky showed unfamiliar stars. And something else, large metal satellites in orbit, glowing with the same blue energy they had seen on Earth. The defense systems, Ta said, pointing up. They haven't noticed us yet, Jun replied. Let's find the facility before they do. Their suit's navigation systems led them to a small crater. At its center was a metal door built into the Martian rock. Symbols matched those from the spheres on Earth. Jun pressed his hand against the control panel. Nothing happened. It needs Min's DNA signature, he realized. Ta pulled out a small device. Min gave me this before we left. It contains a copy of her genetic code. The device connected to the door's panel. After a moment, the door slid open. Stale air rushed out as pressure equalized. Inside, they found a vast room filled with technology beyond human understanding. At its center stood a crystal pillar that reached to the ceiling. This must be the main control hub, Jun said, approaching the pillar. The crystal lit up as they got closer. Images appeared within it. Earth, surrounded by defense satellites. They watched in horror as missiles launched from one continent toward another. They really did it, Ta whispered. They launched nuclear weapons during humanity's final test. The crystal showed the defense satellites intercepting the missiles. Then it displayed a countdown. 7 days until final judgment. We're failing the test, Jun said. Humanity is showing exactly what the defense systems are designed to prevent, using advanced technology to destroy each other. More images appeared in the crystal. They showed another option, a direct communication link to the central judgment system, but it required something neither had expected. It needs a human consciousness to merge with the system. Tad read from the symbols. A representative of humanity must join with the architect's network to speak for the entire species. Whoever does this can't come back, Jun realized. They'd leave their physical body behind. Ta looked grim. Someone has to do it. It's our only chance. I'll do it, Jun said without hesitation. Are you sure? Tai asked. You'd never return to Earth. Jun nodded slowly. If it saves everyone else, yes, I'm sure. The crystal chamber on Mars hummed with energy. Jun stood before the tall pillar, his decision made. Tai worked at a control panel nearby, establishing a connection back to Earth. I've got them, Ta said. On a screen, the faces of Min, Hana, and Sue appeared. We found the central control hub, Jun explained. But there's a problem. To speak directly to the judgment system, someone must merge with it, join with the network the architects created. Silence fell over the video call. Then Hana spoke, her voice breaking. What does that mean exactly, Jun? It means leaving my body behind, Jun said simply. Becoming part of their system to represent humanity. No, Hana cried. There must be another way. Min leaned forward. The ancient texts mentioned this. The final test always requires a sacrifice, a proof that the species values the many over the one. On Earth, things were getting worse. The defense satellites had stopped several nuclear launches, but conventional warfare had broken out in 12 countries. The ocean structures were creating powerful storms along all coastlines. We have 6 days left, Sue reported. Maybe less. The defense systems are accelerating their countdown as conflict spreads. Jun looked at his friends' faces one last time. I've made my decision. It has to be me. Why you? Hana asked, tears in her eyes. Because I found the first sphere, Jun said. Because I believe humanity deserves to survive, despite our flaws. And because someone has to do it. Tai placed a hand on Jun's shoulder. We should try to reach the world leaders first. Tell them what we found. An emergency call to the United Nations was arranged. On screens around the world, Jun explained what they had discovered on Mars. The judgment system will eliminate Earth unless we prove ourselves worthy, he told the assembled leaders. War and weapons use will guarantee our failure. Peace and cooperation are our only hope. Some leaders agreed immediately. Others argued that the alien technology should be used to fight back against the defense systems. That thinking is exactly why we're failing the test, Ta said angrily. The defense systems aren't our enemy. They're judges, left by the architects to ensure only peaceful species advance to the next level. And what is this next level? Asked one skeptical leader. Min answered, access to the knowledge and technology of all past galactic civilizations, the ability to travel between stars, to join a community of worlds that have all passed this same test. After hours of debate, most nations agreed to a global ceasefire, but 3 countries refused, believing the alien technology was a trick by their enemies. We can't wait any longer, Jones said when the meeting ended. Even with most countries cooperating, the actions of a few could doom us all. Back in the Martian facility, Jun prepared for the merger. Ta set up equipment to record everything. How does this work? Tai asked, studying the crystal pillar. The pillar projected symbols that Jun somehow understood. I need to place my hands on the crystal and open my mind to it. The system will take a copy of my consciousness. Will it hurt? Tai asked quietly. I don't know, Jun admitted, but it doesn't matter now. Before he began, Jun spoke to his friends one last time. If this works, I'll be able to speak directly to the judgment system, to show them humanity's potential, our art, our compassion, our desire to grow. If I fail, you won't fail, Hannah said firmly. You'll show them who we really are. Jun took a deep breath and placed his hands on the crystal. Immediately, blue light surged up his arms and surrounded his body. His eyes widened as information flooded his mind. He saw the history of the architects, a species that evolved 1 billion years ago. He witnessed the rise and fall of 1,000 civilizations. He understood why the tests existed, to prevent destructive species from spreading through the galaxy. The light grew brighter. Jun's body became transparent, almost like glass. Todd watched in awe as Jun's form seemed to dissolve into pure energy. Then Jun's voice came from everywhere at once. I am connected. I can see the entire network. I can speak to them. What do they say? Tai asked. They are listening, Jun's voice replied. The trial has begun. Across Earth, the defense systems paused their countdown. The judgment of humanity had entered its final phase. 5 years passed since the day of judgment. The morning sun shone bright over the new spaceport outside Seoul. Hundreds of people gathered to watch the launch of Earth's first true interstellar ship, the Jum Kim. Dr. Hannah Park stood on the viewing platform, now the mission director for humanity's first journey to another star. Beside her were Ta, Sue, and Min, all wearing the blue uniforms of the United Earth Space Agency. I still can't believe how much has changed, Sue said, looking at the sleek silver ship on the launch pad. 5 years ago, we were facing extinction, Tai agreed. Now we're about to visit another solar system. The changes had come quickly after Jun merged with the Architects Network. For 3 days, the entire world had waited in silence as the judgment proceeded. Defense systems remained active but dormant. Then on the 4th day, every screen on Earth displayed the same message. Humanity has passed the trial. The defense systems powered down. The ocean structures sank back beneath the waves. The satellites around Mars transformed into communication beacons, and Jun's voice was heard one more time, broadcast to every person on Earth. I remain within the network, he had told them. I am still Jun, but also much more now. I have access to the knowledge of all civilizations that came before us. This knowledge will now be shared with humanity, but slowly as you prove ready for each level of technology. In the years that followed, the Martian facility became humanity's first off-world colony. The knowledge stored there helped solve Earth's biggest problems: clean energy, food production, disease. Nations that had once fought each other now work together to rebuild and advance. The ship is ready for launch, announced a voice over the speakers. Final checks complete. Hannah watched with mixed emotions. She missed Jun every day, yet she knew his sacrifice had saved everyone. Do you think he'll make contact during the mission? She asked Min quietly. Min nodded. The star system we're visiting contains another hub in the Architects Network. If Jun can communicate anywhere, it will be there. The countdown began. The crowd fell silent. The Jun Kim rose slowly at first, then faster, leaving a trail of blue light as it climbed toward the stars. Unlike old rocket ships, this vessel used gravity manipulation technology provided by the architect's knowledge. Later that evening, the team gathered in a private room at Mission Control. On a special screen, a familiar face appeared, Jun, or at least a digital representation of him. Hello, my friends, he said, his voice the same as they remembered. Jun. Hannah reached toward the screen. We've missed you. Jun smiled. I've been watching. You've done amazing things with the knowledge I shared. Was it worth it? Tai asked. Your sacrifice. Yes, Jun said without hesitation. I've learned the truth about the confluence, and why they left the messages. They weren't destroyed by some outside force. They chose extinction. What? Sue looked shocked. Why would they do that? They had advanced too far, too fast, June explained. They had merged with their technology completely. They lost what made them living beings. Before the end, they realized their mistake. So they'd reset the galaxy, Min said, understanding. They shut down their civilization to give new species a chance to evolve differently. June nodded. The confluence seeded hundreds of worlds with the potential for intelligent life. Earth was one of many. You're not alone in passing the trial. 5 other worlds have awakened in the past year. Other intelligent species, Hannah whispered. We're going to meet them. That's the ultimate purpose, June confirmed. The confluence wanted new civilizations to meet as equals, all having passed the same test. Together, you'll build something better than what came before. On the main screen, the June Kim had reached orbit and was preparing its first faster-than-light jump. Hundreds of crew members were about to make history. Will you guide us? Hannah asked. Now that we're heading into space. Always, June promised. I exist throughout the network. Wherever humanity goes in this galaxy, I'll be there to help. As the ship disappeared in a flash of light, beginning its journey to the stars, Hannah thought about how far they had come. From the discovery in Antarctica to becoming a spacefaring civilization in just 5 years. The last civilization's final message wasn't just a warning, she said. It was a gift, a second chance for life in our galaxy. The stars seemed brighter that night, filled with new possibilities. Earth had awakened, passed its trial, and taken its place in a greater community. And somewhere in the vast network connecting it all, June Kim watched over humanity's first steps into a much larger universe.